Good morning and welcome back. I'm Michael George in for Errol Barnett. Our top story this morning, the fighting in the Middle East. Sources tell CBS News President Trump has given his approval for attack plans on Iran, but he hasn't committed to carrying them out. The IDF has struck Iran's Arak heavy water reactor in its latest attack on Tehran's nuclear program. And Israel is vowing to intensify its attacks on Iran following Iran's direct hit on a hospital in southern Israel. Several people were hurt and there is significant damage. CBS News senior foreign correspondent Debora Patta filed this report from the hospital in Beersheba, Israel.
This is Soroka Hospital where that attack took place early this morning. And what you're seeing behind me are paramedics and first responders, and they are slowly evacuating patients who were already in the hospital receiving care. They are now being taken to other health facilities. This hospital has now been closed to new patients, but it will take life-threatening cases. The attack took place just after 7 this morning, and the emergency room was operational at the time. Hospital authorities say that the old surgical building was damaged, but that it had been evacuated days before the attack. In another missile strike in Tel Aviv, a high-rise apartment was hit, and what you're seeing here is the emotional reunion when a father is reunited with his baby and his family after they had been missing for some time. Now, Iran says that this morning's strike here on Soroka Hospital was not intended for the health facility, but for a military intelligence site nearby. Back to you.
All right, Deborah, thank you. Let's turn now to Ed O'Keefe, who's tracking this from the White House. Ed, good morning. So the president isn't tipping his hand on whether the U.S. will get directly involved, but CBS News has learned he's approved potential attack plans on Iran. What are you hearing?
That he met again with his national security team last night to go over these options. Says he doesn't necessarily want to fight, but if the option is either joining the fight or staying out of it, and the risk of Iran getting a nuclear weapon, then, quote, you have to do what you have to do. So he appears to be telegraphing the real possibility that the United States is going to get involved in some way in the coming days with this conflict. He is facing a lot of questions and he's asking a lot of questions about the potential options, but also questions within his own party about the merits of joining yet another foreign conflict after spending much of his political career over the last 10 years railing against U.S. engagement overseas. And yet he has pointed out now himself that he's been consistent for quite a while. Iran should not have a nuclear weapon. So you may see some real consternation bubbling up in his party domestically as he worries about this potential foreign involvement in a major crisis there in the Middle East.
Well, you know, Ed, in President Trump's first administration, he had multiple generals with combat experience on his cabinet. What about his current administration? Is he getting the same caliber of advice?
Well, we know that the Joint Chiefs of Staff, for example, and other top generals at the Pentagon are newer appointees to those positions. Remember that those that had been serving the Biden administration have been cleared out in favor of new ones. The outgoing leader of U.S. Central Command, General Kurilla, is also someone who's been quite outspoken in his support of taking on Iran in one way or another. Otherwise, we know the senior officials surrounding the president when he's conferring on this, the vice president, the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, who, of course, right now doubles as the national security advisor, the CIA director, John Ratcliffe, Steve Witkoff, his envoy to the Middle East, who could be deployed at any time for diplomatic talks. Those are the kinds of people who are around him. They have less national security and military experience, certainly, than others who served in his first term or who served other presidents, but they are familiar with his thinking and familiar with, of course, the ways of the world, and we'll see how they advise him in the coming hours.
All right, Ed O'Keefe at the White House. Thanks for joining us.